Hi guys, welcome back to part 2 of this beautiful beef stock. Okay, so we have removed the beef stock from the fridge that has been in there for about a day or so. We have removed as much of the fat that had solidified on the top as we possibly could. Now we have it on the stove, bringing it up to temperature because it is ice cold, having been in the fridge. So we need it to be at or near boiling before we fill our jars. I have been sterilizing our jars. I'm going to get these jars out of here, get rid of the water bath canner because this will be pressure canned. Then I will get the pressure canner set up and I will show you that. Okay, so if you've never seen a pressure canner before, it's a rather large pot, whereas you put a small amount of water. You want to make sure that you follow the instructions for your particular canner. This is a Presto. It requires approximately 3 quarts of water at the bottom. You have a little platform so that the jars are not sitting directly on the bottom of the pan. You see the little arrow here, that'll be important in a moment. Okay, this is what the lid looks like. You see the 2 handles here. You line up the arrows. I don't know if you can see that, there it is. That arrow with this arrow that I mentioned a moment ago. You line those up and you will turn them and they will line up. But what is it that causes pressure to build up? Well, let me take the lid back off and I'll show you real quick. Inside the lid is this rubber gasket. That is what creates the tight seal between the lid and the pan and allows the steam to build up. Okay, so if you watched my previous video, you saw all of the ingredients that I put into the roaster to make my stock. If you noticed, none of those ingredients were salt. Now, salt is not meant for preservation purposes. In this situation, it is meant for flavor only. I like to control the amount of salt that I use when we are cooking. So, salt is optional in your jars. I have opted to put a half teaspoon per quart jar. And that will be just enough to bloom the flavors of everything that is in the stock, but yet be low enough sodium so that when I am cooking with it, we won't be starting off with too salty of a stock. Okay, so let's get going here. I'm gonna start filling up these jars. These are wide mouth jars. A little bit of a mess there. Trying to do everything one-handed, hold the phone, and fill my jars. Great. I went with the wide mouth because that was readily available to me at the moment. So we're just gonna do that. Jars all filled. I'm going to go around and check our headspace. We're looking for 1 inch. That looks good. That one could use just a little bit more. You don't have to be super persnickety about this, but headspace is important, and if you would like more information on that, I can certainly do a video at another time. That looks good. Next, that one's good. It is more important to have slightly less than to have too much. That could use a little bit. do have a little left in the pan. I think what I'm going to do is just put that in a jar and put it in the fridge. We can either, use that to make dinner in the next couple of days or add it to our dog's food. She gets a little stock once in a while on her food as a special treat. Alright, here we go. Last jar in. We have all 7 of our jars in here. I'm going to get the lid on and then I'll tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so we have the fire on. It's about a medium, high to medium-ish. Those of you who cook with gas stoves know that this means nothing. It's all in how high the flame is for the pan that you're using. So, not quite to its fullest. What we're going to do is we're going to allow this to come to a boil, that little bit of water in there, come to a boil, and which is going to start building up steam inside the pan. This will pop up when there is enough steam. This will pop up back here when there is enough steam, and this will be venting steam. This won't have anything to do until all of those things are done. So this will be vent, and while this is venting steam, I'll show you the steam rolling out of there at kind of a high rate of speed, and we let that do that for about 10 minutes. Once that is at 10 minutes, I will pop my little weight on there. And what this does, this is a weight regulator. When this pressure starts to rise, we are looking for 10, right about there, pounds per square inch, PSI. This will start to rock a little bit when it reaches the right temperature. I'll take that off now because we don't need it on there. Once we have reached the temperature, we make sure to adjust our burner to keep that pressure, but not too high, and we don't want to drop it below. Once it is stabilized, then we will set our timer. These are quarts of meat stock. They go for 25 minutes. When we get to the steam part, I'll bring you back and show you that. See that? That's what I'm talking about. See that steam coming out? I'm going to let that do for about 10 minutes. Okay, so now we've got the weight on, and we should start seeing pressure start moving up. There it goes. Needle is moving. Pressure will start building up, and that needle will get up there to where we need it. We will adjust the burner as needed, keep it where we want it, and then start our timer. Okay, there we are. We are at pressure, and you can see how the regulator is now doing its little rocking thing. I'm going to turn this down a little bit so that the pressure doesn't continue to climb. I'm going to try and keep it right there, and as soon as I am satisfied that that is going to stay there, then I will set my timer. So I have adjusted the burner, and it has been holding its temperature now for at least 2 minutes. I am satisfied that it's going to stay there, so now we are going to set our timer for 25 minutes, and when the timer goes off, I will come right back and show you what we do next. Okay, so turn the timer off. We're going to turn the burner on. And now we sit and wait for pressure to come back down to 0 before we can take off the regulator. Once that's done, then we can kind of crack open the lid a little bit. These will fall as well. Crack the lid open a little bit, allow some of that steam. We're going to let it sit for a while, and then we will take out our jars. Okay, so these are down. This is at 0. We can now safely remove this and set that aside. And then I'm going to just barely crack open the lid to allow some of the steam to escape. Okay, so now this is going to sit like this for probably another 20 minutes or so, and then we will take the jars out. And there we go. 7 beautiful quarts of rich, deep beef stock. See, the jars are still bubbling a little bit. This can be used at full strength, or they can be diluted for whatever your recipe may be. I know everything that, oh, there goes the first pop. I know everything that went into it. There's no preservatives, nothing that doesn't need to be in there. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. I encourage you to be more self-sufficient and make healthy foods for your family. If you've learned something today, please like, share, and comment. I'd love to answer any questions. Thanks again. You guys have a great day.